Over the past few years, I've spent a lot of time camping alone, and because of that, 2 years ago, I embarked on a journey to build the ultimate solo camping Subaru. This thing was built to keep me off the beaten path for days and potentially weeks of time. I have everything in it to sustain me so I can continue to explore. And I feel as if I've finally gotten it to the point where I can show you what I carry with me for camping.
As you all know, I love doing some solo camping, and so much so that I literally built a vehicle just for that reason. And today I wanted to take a deep dive into my camping setup so I can potentially give you some inspiration. And I do want to start out with saying that if you want to know why I built this thing, this is not the video for you. I have multiple videos on that I'm going to put in a card right here, and you can check those out. This is going to essentially be a video just going into all the things for camping. It's going to just show you all the things I do for cooking, for sleeping, for normal camp setup, and everything I carry with me. So nothing too crazy. And as you can see, this is a very unique vehicle. This is a Subaru Baja if you're new to this channel. And I built this thing out for solo camping. And like I said, I love solo camping. And over the past 2 years, I've kind of wanted to build a vehicle just for solo camping. So I'm gonna go into the setup, and obviously depending on what vehicle you have, the setup is going to be different for every vehicle, obviously, for solo camping. But I'm going to show you my setup, and hopefully I can provide some inspiration for whatever vehicle you have. Because I always like watching videos and seeing what other people have in their setups and then incorporating that into mine. So first we're going to dive into this deck here. Now this is a deck platform that I built because obviously, being that it is a Subaru Baja, there's not many aftermarket camping things for a Subaru. So this deck essentially houses all I need for cooking, for food, and for other just camp items. And the reason I'm diving into the deck system first is because this is where I kind of hold everything. Obviously I have interior storage and places to store things inside, but the exterior is just a lot easier for me, especially for outdoor items. I don't have to like shuffle things around. I can just put it all in the bed, super easy. So from what you can see on camera, there is just a deck here. Now I will show you later, there's actually 2 bins in the back, lockable bins that I have other things in, but let's just focus on the deck for now. So you can see this big space right here. Typically on a solo trip, if I'm gone for 2 days, I'd say 1 night, 2 nights maybe, this will be open, and I'll put firewood here, I'll put maybe my camp stove here, and any other small items I'll just kind of put in this area. Now, if I'm on a longer trip, let's say 3 to 6 nights, I'll have 4 of these bins, which I'll dive into, and I'll have 2 on this side and then 2 over here. So essentially you can fit 2 bins deep on either side, and you still have room for like water. Sometimes I'll carry a water jug or 2 in there next to the bin. But when it comes to these bins, these are waterproof bins, and this is where I store all of my cooking supplies. I store some of my food in here, some of my dry food at least, and I'll store other things like paper towels, matches, and any other just normal camp items. So let's actually dive into one of these bins real quick. I'm not gonna go too in depth because honestly it does change depending on how long I'm going on a trip, or where the trip is. So these bins will change all the time, but I'm gonna show you kind of my basic cooking setup here. So this right here is my cooking bin. So pretty simple bin right here. I have a whole kit right here of basically cooking pots and pans. There's 1 pan, there's 1 pot, and also a little tea kettle, and it's very lightweight aluminum. Yes, it's not the best thing to cook in, I will say, but it is really nice because it packs down small. You can shove it in one of these bins, and honestly, when I'm solo, this is all I need. So I have that. I have utensils right here. I have dish soap. I even have some spices in here and extra food just in case, some like freeze-dried food. But like I said, it always changes trip to trip, so it's never going to be consistent. I always have to bring what I think I'm going to need for whatever I'm cooking on that trip. So let's dive into the miscellaneous bin real quick. Have this one back here. This one is very different every time because I also store food in this vehicle when I'm camping. Sometimes there's food in here if it's a short trip. Other times it's packed full of other things. So like I said, paper towels, sterno. I do have a knife in here. I have claws. I have a towel. I have toilet paper, just in case. I have fire starters. So again, this is kind of dependent on what you need for camping. Typically that's what I need, but again, it's always different. So that's kind of it for these bins. I do have 2 food bins that I will pack full of food on longer trips, but typically I don't need those unless I'm gone for a while. And then on top of this deck, I also have a little stove. This is what I cook off of, and I'll have propane on the side here, and then a chair. And that's essentially it. Like I said, I like to keep it pretty minimalistic and light on solo trips, so I don't like to go too crazy. Other than that, this simple system is really easy. But now I'm actually gonna take this cover off. I usually don't have to, but I do wanna show you guys the bins in the back. Those bins I usually do not have to access, but I always wanna have access to them if needed. So I'm gonna take these covers off and show you what's in the bins towards the front of the bed. Now these boxes are nothing special. It's literally built out of 1/2-inch plywood with the top and bottom panel is sheets of aluminum diamond plate that was cut by a company local to me, and I just sent them my designs and kind of what I wanted to see, and they just cut it out really simple and easy. So I'm not gonna go too in depth, but the one on the left is full of tools. So I have a few tool bins in there, and it's just full of, like, you know, sockets, normal hammers, screwdrivers, whatever. Everything you would need for fixing a vehicle if you have something go wrong in the trail. I shouldn't say everything, but you know, all the basic stuff. So the reason that is kept at the back is because I usually don't need that, but I do want the availability to have tools on hand if needed. So again, like, all I have to do is take off the top cover, and I can easily access the tools. And I have extra parts in there as well, you know, in case something goes wrong, because it's a Subaru. And my favorite compartment is over here on the right, and that is a power supply bin. Essentially, I have a Renogy 100 amp hour AGM deep cycle battery in there, and that basically powers everything I need, from camera gear to charging whatever I need, to also lighting. And I love lighting. I'm going to dive into that very shortly, but camp lighting is very important to me. But essentially, I just have all my wiring running into there, and I have everything wired through there. And essentially, that battery is powered by a 40 amp DC to DC charger that's actually inside the cabin, and that basically pulls power from the starter battery and puts it to this battery. Now the reason I have that box though is that so that way when the car is not running, it will not pull from the starter battery. So the starter battery will always be filled first and then taken from to charge this battery in the back. But like I said, when the car's not running, it cannot pull from that starter battery because of that box I have in there. So that is really nice. I will never kill my starter battery from running everything I need at camp. And while we're on the topic of charging, I do have a charging panel on the side of that. It has basically 4 USB ports on it, as well as a car charging port. And I also run an inverter that I can plug into that car charging port to give me 110. And that is very nice because I can charge my laptop and whatever else off of it. And that battery I have yet to kill. So I think it just charges right up when driving, and I can maybe use, at a camp night, maybe 10 to 20% of it, even with the lights on. Like, it's crazy. And while we're on the topic of lighting, I want to kind of show you the lights I have on this roof rack and talk about this roof rack, and also talk about my sleeping situation, because you're probably wondering where I sleep, because right now it looks like I don't sleep anywhere. So let's talk about that. And this roof rack is a roof rack built by Exo Overland. It is the only one in existence, but if enough of you guys want to get a roof rack like this, hit me up and we can make it happen. This will be for sale shortly. We're gonna actually produce through a company called Exo Overland. So that's a side note, but yes, this is a custom roof rack, and it is honestly the best roof rack I've seen for Bajas. I've not seen any other roof racks like it. Very functional. So I actually store my Rome Adventure Co Rambler up on top here when camping. Recently, I've been doing a lot of ground tenting, so I haven't needed it. But when I do a lot of solo trips, I usually have the Rome Adventure Co Rambler, and it's a very nice tent. It just pops right up. Sleep right in it. It is so nice. So that's where I typically sleep, and that's why you didn't see a sleeping setup in the back or anything like that. I usually sleep up top in the tent. But back on the topic of lighting. So camp lights, and we're going to discuss camp lights specifically today. I do have lights up front. I have Dynamics SS3 spots and a combo up front, but that's not going to be today's topic. We're going to talk about just the camp lighting. On the front and the back, I have Dynamics SSC1, and it's essentially, this is just a wide, so just casts a wide light out into wherever you're at. So even when driving it, it is nice if you're on the back forest road or whatever, and whatever. If you want to be that bro Verlander that shines his lights everywhere, you can do that. But essentially what I use it for is camping. If I'm setting up camp, just throw these on, it blasts light everywhere. It makes camping so nice. There's sometimes now I don't even use a headlamp. I usually bring one. I usually don't use it though, because these lights are just so nice. Just pop them on, it runs off the battery in the back, my secondary battery, and you can run them basically all night. So that is kind of what's on this rack. I have 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, but on the back I have SSC2 combo lights. Essentially it is a wide flood and also kind of a spot. So I use that for, you know, if you're reversing, I can throw those on and I can see kind of far back a little bit, but also the immediate area. and that is really nice. Now also with those lights, I will turn them down so I can actually see what I'm like cooking on the tailgate or whatever. So that's also a good thing to do with those. And before I finish up this lighting segment, I do want to talk about the rear lighting. I do have lighting in the bed. I just kind of have some like little lighting panels that are plugged right in the battery, and just switch them on. So at night, flip on the lights, and it's 4 little LEDs on each side, and they light up that bed so you can see everything in it. And like I said, for cooking, that is a must. It makes it very easy. Now you're probably sitting there wondering, okay, so we're talking about the lighting, talked about the roof rack. What are these stupid things on here, right? They're MaxTrax. I'm sure most of you know what they are. You're probably wondering why I have them on here. Yes, they're for self-recovery because I think that's very important to be able to recover yourself. But honestly, when it comes to camping, these come in very handy for leveling out. I can shove these under whatever tires that need to come up, and that's how I level out. So yes, I'm gonna include this in the camping video because it makes leveling out super easy. I don't have to like find stuff to ride up on. I can just take these off, throw them on the wheels, under the wheels, and we're leveled out. So that is essentially that. I'm gonna walk around to the other side and we're gonna talk about water and fuel. So this right here is my 2-gallon Rotopacks for water. Now typically I do have a red Rotopacks on here for fuel, but if I'm going somewhere close, I'll just kind of throw the water one on here. And if I'm bringing the fuel one, I will throw this in the back. This is essentially my potable water, so for cooking, cleaning, all of that. And then I do have a 2-gallon freshwater jug that I store inside. I'm not gonna go into that because it's just a simple little 2-gallon jug, so it's nothing crazy. And essentially that makes storage nice because this is a small vehicle, so having the availability to store water outside your vehicle or fuel is very nice and needed, because when I was in West Virginia on that trip, this vehicle was completely packed and I was only gone for about 5 or 6 nights. So that makes it a lot easier to store things, and it gives me more room inside. And I'm actually not gonna go into my inside storage because essentially I lay my seats down and I lay all my bags for clothing, for camera gear, for whatever on the back seat, along with my spare tire and water. So there's nothing to really go over. I lay my seats down, put my stuff there, and we're good to go. And everything else that you want to see up front is actually in my other videos. If you click over here, you can watch my videos on this whole build out. But the goal of today's video was just to kind of go over my camping loadout. So I know this is a really simple video, but I just wanted to kind of go over my camping setup. I wanted to do it with no fluff to save you guys time so you could see just everything I do for camping. So thank you for watching. If you think I missed anything or if I don't have anything on this vehicle, let me know, put it in the comments, we can talk about it. And yeah, I'll see you on the next camping trip. Actually, wait, hold up. I'm not gonna see you on the next camping trip because that would be weird, but the next video. So anyways, peace.